Hey traders, John Howell here. Today, I've got a bit of a market update for you. Across the board, we're getting a bit of a sell-off across the main indices. We're definitely getting the small cap stocks, the Russell 2000 definitely got hit the hardest today. Gold and the silver and the mining sector, not really doing much through there. But I don't think this is actually not as bad as it seems, but also in today's video, I want to share with you something that I do to remove my emotions from what this market is doing, because sometimes like today can get you really sucked into like, this is so bad, the market's selling off, and it brings you in and you start to get very emotional. So I'm going to share with you some things today about what I'm actually seeing, what's going on right now in the markets, but also some things you can use in your own trading to remove that emotion so you can see what's going on without letting fear take control. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, so let's get straight into the trading today. So one thing I want to share with you today is I want to share with you basically what I'm seeing right now across the market. So we are getting a bit of a sell-off in the markets, and the one thing, this is one thing that I find that a lot of traders do. A lot of traders, if you see what I'm looking at right now, so I'm looking at just black bars, okay, and just volume. This is how I do majority of my trading. Every now and then I might bring up an indicator like a moving average, but let me actually just see. Do I have, like, I have moving averages here, right? Every single one of these are just moving averages. Anyway, so this is one thing that I notice a lot of traders do, and let me explain something here. So let me bring up, say, I'm going to bring up some of my old things that I used to use. Let's go with, let's go this one here, candlesticks and all down home country goodness, right? So the one thing that I find that a lot of traders do is when they're looking at the markets is they'll look at markets from a perspective of looking at, firstly, they'll look up very close, and they see like, oh, it's had a big red candle. Oh, it's had another big red candle. Oh, up day. Oh, down day. Nasdaq, right? Oh my goodness. And we get so tied to this bar right here. Or if we look at the Dow Jones, right? Oh my goodness, the Dow Jones, it's falling off a cliff. It's all over. And we get so tied to that. Now, yes, this can be the start of something much bigger, but the thing is that the thing that I find that I did when I first started trading was looking too much of this movement through here down, a bit of a gap down, and now we have a bit of a sell-off through here. And secondly, looking at candlesticks. One thing about trading, guys, and for me personally, I'm an emotional person, right? Yes, I get emotional about what's going on with the markets. Now, the longer I keep trading, I've been doing this for 17 years now, I'm nowhere near emotional like today. I'm like whatever. I'm not emotional about today at all. And I'm long the market right now. So I'm not emotional about the market at all, because it's like, you get experience with it. But trading is an emotional thing, right? Trading is an emotional game. And so I want to do whatever I can to remove that emotion. And I always found, firstly, by looking at candlesticks with a lot of stuff going on, you can see like, oh my goodness, the market's starting to crash. The market's starting to roll over, so on and so forth. And then so what happens is that we start to get, very fearful, and we start to draw into that. And how many times, if you guys have been trading for the markets now for at least a few years, right? I'm pretty sure for the last few years, how many times have you seen the market be selling off? You got out, and you're like, oh my goodness, the market's going to crash. I'm going to get out. Oh my goodness. Or not only are you going to get out of your longs, if you are long the market, of your position, because you got out because of fear, right? Oh, I'm gonna get out. Or you short the market because you think it's gonna crash. And then what happens about a week later? The market does that on you, and you're like, why did I can't believe that. Traders, do you know how many times I've actually done that, where the market would pull back, I would get out because I'm fearful, and then the market would rally. I'm like, oh John, oh my goodness. You literally got out at the very bottom before the market took off. I've done that so many times in my trading career, and I still do it to this day every now and then. The only reason when I do make those emotional decisions is because I got too much risk on my trading account and I just can't handle the risk on my account. That's generally when I'm making these emotional decisions. Right now, I don't have very big risk on my account when it comes to all the positions I'm in. So I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Let's actually see what's going on here. So the first thing, guys, is that we want to try to remove this as much as possible. So for me personally, and I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I want to remove the emotion from what the market's doing, from what the bumblebees are going to start talking about, the biggest down day and largest pullback and all this sort of stuff, right? I want to remove that from my head and the emotions, and I want to come back to non-emotional. And so that's the reason why I don't do a lot. I every now and then I'll look at the candlestick chart just to see what it looks like, especially with a chart pattern that I use. If you guys, if you guys know my chart pattern, if you'd like to learn my chart pattern, there should be a link in the description. I'm actually running a free webinar today. And you'll be able to learn all the details to how I trade the markets, what's my number one trading pattern, what do I look for, my scanning technology, how I scan the markets, how I find the trades, how I went from $250,000 in debt, all that sort of stuff. Very first thing in the description, you'll be able to get access to that training. But here's the thing. Sometimes by looking at the candlestick charts, I get very, very, very emotional, right? Because the red and green are bringing that emotion in me. I want to do whatever I can to remove that emotion. That's why I spend majority of my time looking at a chart that looks like this. And I don't zoom in right here, right? So if I'm looking at, say, for example, the Nasdaq, I'm looking at the Nasdaq as an example, and the Nasdaq actually held up quite nicely. Oh my goodness, the market's down 2%, headline. So the thing is like, okay, firstly, let's actually just zoom it back to 1 year. And let's actually just see what's going on here. Let's actually just bring it back let's actually see what's really going on. All right. Well, over the last 1 year worth of time, we've had these nice pullbacks and higher low and higher low and higher low and higher low. And we we made a bit of a double bottom. Then we actually picked back up and now we're actually rolling back over again. The thing is, as you can see, right, there's actually been nothing wrong with this. So we could still get a bit of a down day, and this major low through here, this could just be another major significant higher low before the market turns around, which I actually do expect. Now we can continue to get a bit of a pullback here, but the trend, nothing has really changed it. Picking a top right now is very, very, very dangerous. So as I said before, for me personally, I want to see what the market is really telling me and not what my fear is telling me. If my fear is saying, oh my goodness, here we go, this is the start of something big, the market's going to crash, and so on and so forth. Now, guys, this could be the start of something big. And if it happens, we need to respond to what the market is telling us. So the worst thing that we can do is make an emotional and a fearful decision in the market on a day like today, when if we just look at what the market is doing, and if I just bring up the last couple of years, right, the last say 2 or 3 years, what has the market been doing this entire time? It's been going up. What's happening here? See what I did just there? See how looking at from this perspective here, you're like, oh, we're getting a big pullback. But if I zoom out for the last couple of years to get a really big view of, even for the last 2 years, look what's happening here. Notice how this actually doesn't look too big now, right? It's like, oh, that's actually not a big sell-off at all. When you really look at the big picture of what the market is telling you, right? This big picture here. So you can see with what for example, on the Nasdaq, we're just getting what? We're just still in this what we call a pullback phase. We get the pullbacks. So we're just getting a pullback. And who knows, this could be a pullback to shake those weak hands out. We may even get a bit more selling into next week, the start of next week, and then December is just a slingshot move to the upside. It may not be. But traders, as you trade the markets, that's one thing that we need to continue to look at with these markets, is for us to be just responding to what the market's telling us, right? Because the thing is, anything can happen in the markets. Anything can happen. But remember, the trend is your friend until the end. And the trend has not changed through here at all. Even when we got a bit of a shaky period at the start of 2000 in the Nasdaq, look what happened. Continued moving up. So if I do the exact same thing, and let me bring up this here, and then I'm going to go to the S&P 500. Oh my goodness, massive down day. And then you look at the 15-minute charts or the 1-minute charts, right? Oh my goodness, it's actually the 1-minute charts. Actually, look at that. They actually bought it up and then they sold it off and they did a whole bunch of gibbly gabbly at the end, right? On the 1-minute charts. Look at the 1-minute chart. I wonder if there's been any trades here on the 1-minute chart for the last few days for my system. For you private clients out there, actually there's been none. I know there was one on the there was this beautiful trade back here on the hourly chart back here, like just a beautiful move towards the end here. So you private clients, you guys know that this setup right here went long and then captured that up move there. So that was actually a beautiful short-term play. Again, guys, if you want to know that setup, just go join my webinar and I'll share with you all the details about that setup. Yeah, so if we have a look at this here, right, we'll look at, oh my goodness, the market's crashing. I better get out, right? Fear. Remember, guys, but please, we try to do whatever you can to remove that fear from the way you're looking at the markets, the way you're thinking about these markets. Fear. That fear, acting in fear is never a good idea. So remember, again, trading is an emotional thing. So for me personally, I need to say, okay, I need to remove whatever I can to make a good decision, right? Because we all get emotional about the markets. The markets, it's our money in the markets, right? I have a lot of money in the markets right now. So of course I'm going to be a little bit emotional about what's going on, but I can stand back and not let that fear take control, and I can make much better informed decisions instead of getting sucked into, oh my goodness, look how down that bar is. And the best way to do it is what? Just bring it back to this here. Now, what do we see when we look at the big picture? Oh, well, the trend really hasn't changed, because remember what's an upward trend? Higher highs, higher lows, right? And when we have a move up, we go through a pullback. Go move up, have a pullback. What's happening here? Actually, if we're just looking at this last 3 months, we've just had what? We've had a move up, and now we're going through a pullback. So as you can see, it's like we can get sucked into what the market is doing right now, and we can make all these really bad decisions about what's going on in the market. But when we step back, we're like, oh, this actually could be. Now we never know, right? But if we're just looking at probabilities, there's a real good probability that that these pullbacks through here. See all these pullbacks we just got? Pullback. You know, even through here, right? Pullbacks. These pullbacks we get in the markets, it could just be one of those again before we start to do what? An incredible move towards the end of the year, moving into January next year, which I still do believe that's going to happen. I still believe we're going to see an incredible bullish December. I could be wrong with that, but until the market tells me, not my fear or my emotions, until the market tells me what's going on, then I can't make any decisions based on that. So traders, that's actually the big one thing. This is the one thing, right? This is the big one thing that is so important to you, that when you're trading, pull it back to a good, say, even for a good couple of years, and look at a black bar. Don't look at candlesticks. Candlesticks makes you emotional. Oh my goodness, I'm long this market and I'm seeing a big red candle, and you get sucked in. Hang on a minute. Let's just step it back a bit. Let's see what's going on. Hang on a minute. There's actually nothing. And now I look at the S&P. I'm like, there's actually nothing for me to be worried about here. This is just a small down day. Like, we could get a bit more follow through, and then we continue this upward trend. This is just a pullback. We're not getting an overall topping pattern yet. Now, yes, this could turn into something like this, right? And then it starts to roll over, and then we start to get something like that, right? Yes, that could be forming right now. But when we look at the probabilities, there's an 80% probability this thing's going to continue up, just like it's done every single time. Pullback, higher high, 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 pullback, another higher high, right? Look at every single time we get pullbacks and we make a new high compared to it crashing. So that's the reason why going short in a bull market without even getting some sign is very, very, very risky. So that's what I'm seeing through there, traders, on the stock market. And same for even like gold right now. Like if you're emotional about gold, a same thing. If I'm just looking at gold, I'm like, gold really hasn't done anything. Like, yes, we got a bit of a sideways day today, but when I look at gold from, again, this whole thing is how to remove the emotions from your trading. And the best way I do that, once again, is just to bring it back for a good couple of years. Look at black bars. I'm like, oh, the market's actually pretty much just been doing nothing. Yes, we're getting up and down movements, but the market's actually not really doing much right now. Same for silver as well too. Now, silver did have, on a short-term analysis, I did say that here we go. I did say we're probably going to get a pullback, and we got the pullback through here, and we got the higher low. Now, this is the interesting thing about technical analysis, okay? Right now, as when the market pulled back, I said we're probably going to get a higher low, and then away we go. We did get that, but guess what? Like technical analysis, when the market starts to change, we need to change with it. So right now, we're actually coming back down to a bit of a double bottom, maybe even breaking a lower low. Therefore, the buyers are no longer in control of silver. Silver has now started to roll back over again, and so it's really not much going on with silver. So whenever you're doing your technical analysis, especially on a short-term basis like a low and a high, just remember, traders, that that's what's happening right now. Next week, the market could be doing something completely different. Make sense? So don't ever take a short-term TA and say this is what's going to happen for the next 2 years because of what's happening right now. It's not the way the market works. But once again, same thing, right? Let's bring our charts back up the last 2 or 3 years, last couple of years, black bars. As you can see, we can't actually see the bars, right? We can't actually see where they open and closes. That doesn't matter. What is the most important parts? The most important parts are these highs and these highs and these lows. And what that's doing is that there's telling us our buyers in control, our sellers in control, meaning the market's going up, we're stepping up. Our sellers in control, meaning the market is selling down, or no one in control, right? The market's just doing sideways. And as we can see with gold, with silver's just been really, we've got a little bit of buyers in control through here, and then it rolled back over. So there's actually nearly no one in control right now when it comes to silver, and it comes to these sectors through here. If I go back to the GDX right now, again, really not much going on, but what's happening through here on the GDX? We've still got low, higher low. This still could be another higher low in the GDX. So we've still got a bit of an upward trend, yet it's not a strong upward trend, but we've still got a small little upward trend happening on the GDX here. So that's what we're looking at through there. If I go to the SIL, look, the silver miners actually, look what happened here. We had a low. Now we actually broke we broke a lower low. What is that actually telling us in the market? It's telling us that this bottoming pattern here is no longer being held up by the buyers, and the market's changing its tune. The most important part, traders, the best thing that I can say about your trading is that if you're in a market based off a pattern like this, and the market starts to roll over, and the pattern is no longer becoming valid anymore, like we're no longer getting a higher low, then you don't stay in positions like that. I did get into the GDX based off this pattern. The market took off. I moved my stop above break even. The market pulled back. I got stopped out for a profit. So I made some money there. And now I'm on the sidelines waiting to do my thing. That's short-term analysis. I have longer-term positions in these markets, but when I'm talking about the short-term TA in the market. So there we go, traders. Don't be fearful about what's going on right now in the markets. We are getting a bit of a big pullback. Even the Russell is actually getting a much bigger pullback right now than even I thought, right? So like, we're getting a big pullback here. But just remember that when looking at these markets, we're not, again, we're not changing the tune just yet. This could be a big deep pullback before we see a big sort of slingshot move. Same for the S&P 500. Look at the S&P 500. Nothing has changed yet. It could be, but right now, guys, to me, the market is still very bullish, and this is just a pullback. Until the market starts to change the tune, then don't get emotional about this here. And the best thing to do is to pull your charts back for the last few years, look at black bars, and see, okay, what is the story telling me on the markets? Because that's what the market's doing, right? The market's telling us a story. Now, remember, guys, when the market's telling you a story today, that means that's the story. That's what's happening in that chapter right now. The chapter of this market right now is we had a big move up and we're going through a pullback. That's the chapter right now, okay? That's the story. Remember, stories change, right? Headline, we go through different phases in the story. So just because the story is saying something right now doesn't mean, next chapter the story starts to change, right? Something happens, whatever, right? I was trying to think of a storyline just then, and it just went blank. So that's why I said whatever. So it's like no go. Blank. So traders, the thing is, remember that's the most important part to trading, right? What's the story telling us right now, and then what's that mean to the markets? But then also, as the market unfolds, how is the story unfolding? Right now, guess what has the story been? Just continued upward trend with a big bull market, and we're just getting a small pullback. I would not be too surprised, especially having a short day. There's not really that many big guys in the markets right now, especially the short-term day. I'm expecting this thing to be probably a bit of a fake out, and then maybe even a bit more selling coming into the next couple of days, start next week to finish off November. And then I do see November being quiet, and then December being an incredible move to the upside.